Hi and welcome to my greenhouse. It's sort of mid-October now. The nights are definitely drawing in, it's getting darker, and the temperatures are taking quite a tumble at the moment. We've even had a couple of fairly light frosts overnight. And quite a lot of the Sarracenias and a few of the other plants in the greenhouse are beginning to think about going into dormancy for winter. But not all of them. So I've got a quite nice Mori cross here, a very old one. These traps are brand new as of about 2-3 weeks ago. So it's sort of dispensed with its old ones. So here's one of the older ones from sort of springtime. And it's now starting to put some new traps up. There's a couple of other new ones. And there's a few others doing that as well. I think this is my Alata rubicorpora. Flava rubicorpora Alata redlid. That also has put some new traps up, as do ones such as Leucophila. So there's the early season one, and if we can focus, that is a new one that's come up. No, come on, focus. That is a new trap that's coming up, and we'll put on a almost, if anything, a better set of traps, sort of going into autumn or fall in America, with better colours and potentially better sized traps even. There's still quite a few that are still really nice, as my Adrian Slack ones. But a lot of them are now starting to die back, where they've been feeding quite well. The traps have now started to sort of break, definitely started to die back. Some have died back already, all the way down, so ones like Orophilia, like this one. This was already starting to show signs of dying back, probably at least a month ago. Some of the traps have completely died back. A few of the other ones, like this one here. This is my rubicorpora Alata redlid, the bigger one. Interestingly, on this one, you can actually start to see some of the traps are dying or dying out, dying back, but also some of the older ones from earlier. You can actually see where the nectar is starting to sort of dry out now on the back of the throat there. So she won't produce any more new traps. She's still got a few younger ones, but there won't be any new ones coming through. A few of the others that tend to produce newer ones at this time of season are also this, I think, is my Flavolata redlid, which is producing some new traps, interestingly. As does, if I can find one, what's that one? Some of the Alatas are as well, as is, for example, Rubra. That's one of our early ones. And some of these other ones, like this little one here, are brand new ones as of maybe a couple of weeks ago. So she tends to put on some nice ones, and hers, Rubra, is quite nice in the fact it'll actually keep its pictures quite deep into winter without them sort of dying back too much. But like I say, here you go. Here's Orophilia, and it's already completely died back. Now, also this time of year, there'll be some seed pods, hopefully, so if you've actually done any pollination. So I've got some seed pods here, which I need to pick. So you can see there, the actual pods are starting to crack open. So I need to take those off, collect the seed and label them, and then we can give some seedlings a go next year, come spring. A few other ones that are dying back. My big Kimber Red Ruffles which is a real shame because she's such a beauty. And again, she won't produce any new ones. Most of the Flavas will not produce any sort of autumn traps, and most of the Flavas are also, a bit like Orophilia, beginning to sort of shut themselves down for winter. There's another one of my little Leucophilas, and some new Leucophilas that are coming there. Another one there. Like I say, I tend to find that the autumn growth tends to be quite a bit bigger than the spring one, especially on this one, which is actually quite delicate in the first place. In fact, actually, there is a new one she's got coming there. So we've got quite a few trays of other plants here. Again, most of them are showing signs of dying back. So I'm going to go around shortly and start to trim some of these off. I've already started doing it to some of the Orophilia. Now these are quite good in the fact that they're relatively easy to actually just pull out the pot. So some of the old non-carnivorous leaves, these have a tendency to actually go mouldy, but they're really easy just to pull out. And so I tend to go around and tidy these up like that, just to make sure that you don't get botrytis starting and potentially going into the rhizome. So we take a look around the other side of the greenhouse. We've got a lot of chilies in the way at the moment. Right back there we've got a lot of the Drosseras, mostly Capensis there. A few of those are starting to look a bit tatty now. Alba on the end is not looking too bad. There's some more Capensis behind the chilies, but I can't see them at the moment. We've got a few other trays of seedlings, but again, like a lot of the other ones in the big trays, they're starting to show signs of dying back for the winter. Like I say, not all of them. So again, we've got some Alata redlid or Flavolata redlids here that are putting some sort of late autumn growth on. So that must be coming as a result of the Alata rather than the Flava on that one. And again, here's some seedlings from January this year. Not looking too bad. I've been round and I've removed a bit of the moss so they're not being choked out, but they're looking quite nice. I did spend quite a bit of time potting up some of the seedlings from previous years. Again, a lot of these are Catespii crosses or Flava Max crosses, and a lot of these are actually starting to die back now. But like I say, not all of them. Purpurea here is looking really nice. She again tends to keep a lot of her foliage right through to winter and the following year. I got a really nice dark red one here, and an all green anthracene free one. A few of the traps here, like on this one, are starting to die back, so I'll start to carefully snip those or pull them off. Sarracenia's done pretty well this year. Again, Sarracenia keeps her traps quite well through the winter. Really quite hard with these traps. Then we've got a load of other little seedlings in pots. These have got some Utricularia in. I can't remember which one it is now. Oh, there we go. And again, we've got some more Purpurea there. And a few of the last year's seedlings I've not actually managed to find enough pots to pot up with yet. And then right behind a lot of the Sarracenias, we've got a lot of the Cobra lilies, which are done really nicely this year. There's some really nice ones there. And there's some old traps on there again, which I'll just start trimming off. Venus flytrap's not looking too bad still. They've tended to slow down on production of their traps, and will start to now sort of produce smaller traps closer to the ground rather than the ones on the tall stalks. So a lot of those are actually beginning to die back a bit now. And my red dragon is looking pretty nice as well, actually. So quite pleased with that one. I separated that out. Most of those were in one pot, and I separated that. Let's give them a bit more space, and they've really appreciated that. And here's a few, in fact, see more of them. Here's a load of Banata T-forms, which are mostly out of other pots because they do seem to seed themselves absolutely everywhere. Not only where you want them, but also where you don't want them. So like I say, now is the time to start thinking about perhaps tidying up some of the plants ready for winter. So I'm certainly going to start trimming some of these down. I tend to just cut them down to where it's still green. Maybe do that 2 or 3 times throughout the year. For ones like Orophilia, I will take them all the way down to the sort of the rhizome, because this one very easily pulls, the traps pull off, or the old leaves pull off, no problem. I'm going to be a bit careful with some of the other ones, I think, because you can rip the actual thing quite badly on the rhizome, and you don't want to get sort of wounds on the rhizome. Could get sort of bacteria or molds and things like that in. So a quick look outside. So we've got out there. Oh, a few more chili plants out here. So outside we've got all the ones that I basically overflow from the greenhouse. Got quite a lot here. Again, some of these are looking pretty good. So we've got a few like this one. Again, this is a flower lighter red lid. It's producing a few brand new traps here, which is really nice. And a few of the, I think, plain latas have as well. But a lot of the others, especially outside, are showing signs of age now. Got a lot of the traps are sort of dying back, or where they've actually fed really well, they're actually sort of breaking off there and rotting. Nice ones that are outside still are Jithatic Sopa is still looking really nice. She's also been producing some brand new growth. But as you can see here, a lot of the Jithatic Sopas have suffered, certainly some of the big ones have suffered from just so much rain that you probably can't see it, but the traps are full of water. And then when the wind gets them, they fall over and they really struggle. Some nice new traps on my little Leucophila here. It's a really nice, really beautiful red and white one. And the ones which are looking pretty nice at the moment are the Dormancy. That's looking really nice, and she also is putting quite a lot of brand new growth up. Typical, I can't actually see one that's got some new growth at the moment. In fact, there you go. So again, she's producing new growth, even as some of the other plants like this one are starting to sort of shut down for the winter. A lot of alatas here, so there's quite a lot dead on the alatas, but there is new growth coming. And like as I said, in the greenhouse, I've got quite a bit of new growth coming on my rubras. So there's quite a few little rubras here that are producing new growth. And that's really beautiful. This is Rubra golfensis, really one of my favourites. I think the veining and the colouring in the back of the throat is really beautiful. Oh, it's starting to rain now, so I'm going to head back in the greenhouse. So that was a quick tour in the greenhouse. If anybody who's bought plants from me from sales that I go to, now's the sort of time you want to think about, like I say, putting your plants, your Sarracenias somewhere a little bit cooler. They'll already be noticing probably a drop in light, but if you've got them in the house, you probably want to start to put them somewhere a little bit cooler in the house so they start to notice sort of effectively winter's coming. Especially if you've got central heating, you've already started to actually put that on. What you don't want is to have them sort of all the way through the winter in sort of hot conditions, because they won't properly hibernate. I'll go dormant, and it won't do them much good. They need that rest period. So I'm going to do a bit of tidying up now, take a few of the seed heads off, start to collect some of the seeds, and yeah. Okay, that's the tidying up complete. Now it's actually taken me a bit of time. I think I started this video sort of mid-late October, and it's now sort of the first week in November, so it's taken me a little bit of time to actually get time at the weekend to do the tidying up, and also finally to pull together this video. But as you can see, this is now a lot better. Most of the plants you can see here don't have that much dead on it. Some of the dead that's still there, like this one for example, this was actually alive when I started this video, and that's obviously died back a bit. So if I was going to cut this down, just to show you, I would cut it about there somewhere, because there's still plenty of green in this leaf, and still potentially flies that can be absorbed that might have been caught late. So obviously, you know, there's chlorophyll and all the other nutrients that the plant can absorb back into the rhizome. So I'm not going to just hack them down at the base. I'm going to let them naturally die back. So I'll cut them down maybe one or two more times throughout winter, and then just tidy them up as I go. So like I say, as you can see, this is a lot tidier than it was. There's a lot more space, a lot more sort of air everywhere, but a gap between the plants. So I've been tidying up her Purea, for example, taking out a lot of her dead ones. So that's opened that crown up, and a lot of these others I've also opened up and seriously tidied up as well. So now they are looking a lot better than what they were looking. Pretty much all the Orophilia are now died back. We've still got a few, like Leucophila here. There's also a nice green leucophila I've got here that are still looking really nice. But even some of the leucophilas, I mean, this is actually a new, fairly new leucophila picture that's coming up. But even some of my leucophilas in the greenhouse and outside are actually starting to die back now. The one that's actually still producing fairly new traps is my rubra. So this is my little rubra golfensis. And as you can see here, these little traps are fresh as of about the last, week or so. So she's still producing, as you can see there, still producing some traps. Now, it is quite mild at the moment in the UK for this time of year, but yeah, that's quite extraordinary. But rubra does tend to stay quite late, and she certainly keeps her traps really quite nicely throughout a lot of the winter. So yeah, not looking too bad actually. And if we have a quick look down here, all these trays have also been tidied out a lot, so there's a lot more removal of the old leaves and things, old trumpets and pitchers, and a lot more light and air can get to them. And also tidied up all the cobra lilies as well, so they're looking quite nice. The other one that's producing actually new growth is my Sarracenia. So again, these nice green traps here and here are as of, a couple of weeks ago. So, yep, even she's producing them still. But then again, Sarracenia, a little like Purpurea and rubra, do tend to keep the traps quite nicely throughout, or quite deep into the winter actually. So there you go, that's a lot of the tidying up done. I shall now basically just keep an eye on the greenhouse, just check for mould maybe in the rhizomes in case any leaves have dropped from other plants or things like that have started to go mouldy with botrytis, and yeah, leave the plants to enjoy their dormancy in the winter. So thank you for watching. I hope this was interesting, and I'll make another video soon. Thanks for watching.